8
The year
lessons from the
2020,
pandemic, the experience of DOST-STII.
the year 2020 was definitely memorable. So memorable, in fact, that it had to be named twice, 2020. In this duality, many would consider it a year of the great upset when so much was lost: incomes, jobs, travel, even lives. But it could also be the year of the radical reset as it became the fulcrum towards going more fully digital. The Science and Technology Institute of the Department of Science and Technology is one of the smallest of the 18 agencies of the department. Our budget is very small, a mere 0.48% of the entire DOST budget in 2020. Our regular plantilla is only 64, and yet, amidst the pandemic, we found out that with our little mandate to keep a science and technology library, to communicate science for the people, and to capacitate our stakeholders, that we actually have a big voice. Now, from the numbers, we realize it was not a bad year after all. We may have lost a lot in 2020, but we did not lose the lessons. In fact, we learned a lot. Here are the 8 lessons we learned from this most challenging environment imposed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Lesson number 1, in adversity, remember your friends. Early in the quarantine period, we realized that many of our media contacts and friends lost income opportunities and even their jobs. So we dug into our personal pockets to send them food packs. You know, the food packs were not even enough to feed them for a few days, but I am certain they created goodwill that will last for a long, long time. We organized a virtual memorial for one of them who passed away. And we engaged our friends in many virtual pressers and interviews so they can report stories on science and technology. We became very good at doing virtual meetings that, in fact, DOST-STII became the go-to team to assist other agencies of DOST in their initial virtual meetings and conferences. Lesson number 2, make size matter. We did not consider size a liability. Instead, we focused on our strengths. We leveraged our 2 major programs, StarBooks, a digital S&T library in a box, and DOST-TV, our broadcast program for radio, television, and online platforms. Both programs were included in the National Priority Plan of the National Economic and Development Authority for 2020. There were only 6 projects included in that list, and 2 are from our institute. Both programs, incidentally, are also digital natives. StarBooks was rolled out 10 years ago after digitizing the resources in DOST-STII's library. Once digitized, these valuable S&T content became more accessible and portable to users, especially in remote and economically challenged schools and communities. Now, on February 14, 2020, a month before the lockdown, the Department of Education signed a memorandum of agreement with DOST-STII, adapting StarBooks and including it in their Learning Commons. By December, 4,962 units of StarBooks kiosks have been deployed throughout the country. We developed 3 mobile apps last year to make StarBooks even more accessible on Android gadgets. And by year-end, while our physical library facilities were shuttered by the quarantine, more than 2 million people accessed our contents online. DOST-TV, on the other hand, began live streaming in 2016 as a science and technology broadcast program. Eventually, it went on television via PTV4, GMA7, and GNN cable channel. We were also on Radio Pilipinas Uno. So we overcame the limitations of our size to produce results that matter for the Institute, for DOST, and for the whole country. Lesson number 3, identify your spokesperson and be heard above the din. DOST is a house of experts, but only 3 were designated official spokespersons for the department: Secretary Boy, Yusek Gev, and Yusek Rene. Now, having designated spokespersons makes it easier for the media and the public to relate with the organization, and also for the organization to have a source of information that is authoritative, credible, and reliable. For SecBoy, we created early in his term #Science for the People as the tagline of his administration. Today, more than 6,000 Facebook users are using the hashtag, helping us to get the Secretary's voice heard above the din. Lesson number 4, pivot. If at first you don't succeed, pivot. We do not need excuses even in disasters because we really need to deliver on our major final outputs. Agility is key to successfully communicate science with the people in a pandemic. We need to be able to recast our plans and programs to adapt to the shifting circumstances and capture new opportunities. Our broadcast programs with the networks were no longer tenable and had to be suspended because of quarantine restrictions. So, we immediately reverted to live streaming to keep the public informed. Eventually, the weekly DOST Report live stream became the platform for SecBoy to share the latest developments in S&T and for our media friends to pick their story leads. The annual National Science and Technology Week celebration had to be conducted entirely online for the first time in November 2020. Our social media campaign for people to participate in NSTW reached more than 1 million people compared to a few thousands in previous editions. With influencers, we had almost 1 million views on TikTok. For our own internal learning and development programs, we also resorted to online courses and webinars and trained 91% of our staff. Lesson number 5. There is no longer any security of tenure in government service. It is performance that counts and continuous improvement that leads to quality management excellence. In the pandemic, we need to innovate, to go beyond the usual, to create greater value added. This became really more acute. To enhance our capability to perform and deliver on our mandates, we collaborated with partners who provided support in terms of additional resources, content, expertise, and their own networks. Lesson number 6, excel. Surprisingly, amid the pandemic, we harvested a good crop of recognition and awards. Starbooks and DOST were included in the 2020 National Priority Plan. DOST-TV received 3 anvils from the Public Relations Society of the Philippines. It also bagged 4 Gandingan Awards from UP Los Baños, including the most development-oriented radio, TV, online platform. And it was a finalist in 2 categories of the Catholic Mass Media Awards 2020. The Commission on Audit gave DOST-STII an unqualified opinion on our financial statements. This is the highest audit rating for a government institution. DOST-STII also maintained our 9001-2015 ISO accreditation with no nonconformities and 2 best practices. So, pivot, perform, and excel became our PPE during the pandemic, enabling us to survive and even thrive through this most difficult period. Lesson number 7, monitor, evaluate, recalibrate. The pandemic underscored the need for data to drive our communication efforts. Our staff understand this, but we were also fortunate to engage external organizations to assist us in monitoring, analyzing, and reporting our media efforts and their impacts. They truly added value. They boosted our confidence and helped us win. In 2016, we had no benchmark to establish the national level of awareness about science and technology in the country. We established in 2017 that it was at the very low 6%. We determined to double that in 2018, and we got to 13%. This went up to 16% in 2019 and jumped 7 percentage points to 23% in the time of the pandemic. We delivered 1,045 promotion services and generated 1.5 billion pesos worth of media coverage. Lesson 8. Be grateful. We're still here. The most important lesson we learned from this pandemic is gratitude. It is the attitude that opens us up to the work of other people, to the needs of the community, to the divine dimension, in order to realize what is truly valuable in our lives and in our jobs, to enable us to receive more blessings and to begin the process of healing. We are grateful that our workplace is safe and clean and that no one got infected by the virus here. We are still here. And we are even more deeply committed now to communicate science for the people because it is what allows us to hope, to thrive, and to succeed. Thank you, and keep safe, everyone.